Hello. Today I would like to talk about one of the great actors of all our time, Jean-Claude Van Damme, as well as a specific film of his called The Eagle Path. And you've probably never heard of The Eagle Path, and there is a very good reason for that. So if you're on Jean-Claude Van Damme's IMDb page, as I know we all often are, you will see, if it ever fucking loads, that right around this time, Jean Claude was attempting and partially succeeding in a pretty major comeback. Because Van Damme in 2008, he'd made this movie JCVD, where he plays a fictionalized version of himself. And he kind of blew a lot of critics away with JCVD. It's a very strong performance. He's just playing himself, but he's really not. He's playing a character loosely based on his life experience, and he really divested a lot into it emotionally. He does this monologue in it that's just incredible. And so after this, after he gets this critical acclaim, kind of for the first time in his career, not just as an action star, but as a real, dramatic actor, people are wondering, how is he going to follow this up? How is he going to capitalize on this? Where is he going to go from here? So his immediate reaction was to do an episode of Robot Chicken and then to participate in the Universal Soldier reboot. But then he was going to take that goodwill he'd earned from JCVD and he was going to put out the first film that he had written and directed since way back in, I think, like 1996. Yeah, The Quest. He had written and directed this film as well, which no one has ever seen. But he wanted to do it again and make a film which I believe at the time, it's known on here as The Eagle Path, but I believe when he first released it, it was called Full Love. And you're going to understand why I'm not totally sure on titles here in a sec. Titles are going to become a big point of contention. But as you can see, The Eagle Path, this movie has a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb with 2,000 reviews, over 2,000 reviews. And I can guarantee that 2,000 people have not seen this movie because it's played at a couple of film festivals or like film festival adjacent events. But other than those audiences and the people who Van Damme has personally shown the film to, of course, no one has seen this movie. This is an unreleased film. Now, if you look at the cast, you will see that Van Damme is really the only big name in the cast. I mean, maybe you've heard of some of these other people, but I haven't. I mean, you see Bianca Van Damme, Chris Van Damme. These are obviously Van Damme related people. People from his family. They might be his children. I'm not steeped enough in the lore of Van Damme's personal life to know, but they were credited under pseudonyms, so maybe he didn't want him to think it was like a nepotism thing. I don't know. But you can see Van Damme, he wrote and directed the film himself. He co-produced the film and he co-edited the film, and that might be the big sticking point, as we'll see. But yeah, it was shot by this guy Douglas Milsom, who one of his first jobs in the industry was doing the cinematography for Full Metal Jacket. So that's pretty cool, actually. And I don't know what kind of. It's an interesting career trajectory that he went from working with Stanley Kubrick to doing a bunch of Van Damme movies because he had actually shot several of Van Damme's like straight to video films. So that's interesting. I would like to know more about that guy. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can also glean more from the trivia here, and we will go obviously into more depth on all this stuff soon. But yeah, as it says here, and I've corroborated this elsewhere, the film premiered in May 2010. Not specifically, I believe, at the Cannes Film Festival itself, but at the Cannes Film Market. So I guess he was like at Cannes talking to distributors and the people who did see the film at this time did not give it a good reaction. It got, very few reviews, but the reviews I've been able to locate from this time are very negative. Apparently, Jean-Claude got up before the film was screened and made some kind of odd, kind of cryptic remarks. But it was clear to him that it was clear that it was like a very personal film to him, and that he believed in the project a lot. And then the result was the critics were not impressed, the distributors were not interested. And then, as it says down here, he would go on and re-edit the film, call it The Eagle Path. It was originally shot in Thailand in 2008. He would do reshoots 4 years later in Bulgaria. And since then, Jean-Claude has kind of been tinkering with the film off and on, doing different edits and all of this. At one point, a few years ago, he was like, um, kind of trying to sell two different edits of the film at a time, like going to distributors and being like, oh, well, if you don't like this cut of the film, you might like this cut of the film, which like strikes me as like a really bad idea, but that's interesting. um, I like this up here. Forrest Whitaker and Nick Nolte are both good friends of director and writer Jean-Claude Van Damme and were considered for roles in this film. So I like that. I like that Academy Award winner Forrest Whitaker and Academy Award nominee Nick Nolte were considered for the film, but then Van Damme was like, I think I'll go with somebody nobody's ever heard of. That'll probably be better for get more eyes on it. And I don't know if this is true or not, but it's like, I mean, if they were considered and he decided to go in another direction, it was probably a budget thing. I think the budget for this movie was 5 million, if I'm recalling correctly, which is not a ton for like a big action film. But if this is true, and Forrest Whitaker and Jean-Claude Van Damme are good friends, I find that absolutely fascinating. Like, I'm trying to picture the two of them talking to each other. What a conversation with the two of them would be like, and it's real interesting in my head. But yeah, as you can see here, this is another kind of clue. David Winters was supposed to co-produce the movie and play a role, but turned down the project because of creative differences. Creative differences is a subject that's going to come up a lot over the course of this deep dive. All right, so when you're good at researching stuff like me, the next place you obviously go is the Wikipedia page. And here you can see a bit more about the history of the film, that it's had. I believe it's had 6 titles. Okay, so the original title was The Eagle Path. Okay. And so then it had a special distributor screening at the 2010 Cannes Film Festival. Yeah, because I think, like, I've looked at the page for the 2010 Cannes Film Festival and it was not on the official docket. So I guess this was a screening just for potential distributors. Like the festival goers could not attend this film. So then in 2012, parts were reshot, scenes were added. Those are those reshoots in Bulgaria we were just talking about, and the title was changed to Full Love. And then it was shown as Full Love at the Shanghai International Film Festival, once again at a distributor screening, not for the general festival goers. Okay, and then in 2018, Van Damme attended the Cannes Film Festival again and tried to find a distributor for the 3rd time. He is probably submitting this film to the film festivals and they're rejecting it, and then he's just going to the festivals himself and being like, this film is too good for the festival, but you should buy it. So that's interesting. And so then in 2020, he re-edited the movie. He retitled it again to Frenchy, and then in 2022, he reverted back to the original title of The Eagle Path. So I believe the film is currently called The Eagle Path, but then a couple years later, there was a trailer released with the Frenchy name on it. So I don't know if it's currently called Frenchy or The Eagle Path. I'm pretty sure it's not called Soldiers, and it's not called Full Love anymore. So yeah, $5 million, as I said. And he did have this guy compose the music for it, which he hasn't really worked on anything I'm too familiar with. He's done a couple of like Power Rangers movies, so I didn't know they were still making those. Well, I mean, there was that one. There was like that big reboot one, but okay. So footage of this film online is very scarce, but there have been some trailers posted throughout the years. So I hope it's okay for me to show these. This is fair use, right? Because I'm talking about this stuff. I think it's fair use. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so basically, we don't need sound for this because this is just a wordless trailer. There's just audio playing, but yeah, you can kind of get an overall idea of the aesthetic from this and some of the main players in the story. There's Van Damme looking very, very serious, very determined. Okay, and this stuff going on, I think what would have happened is you would have had like a lot of flashbacks to like wartime with Jean-Claude being a veteran and kind of being damaged during the war, maybe mentally and physically, and I don't know, but it changed him. It wounded him in some way, and now the ghosts of his past are still haunting him. Also, something happened to him as a little boy. I'm pretty sure. You get like shots earlier in the trailers from like him as a little kid. Yeah, there he is. There he is as a little kid. My computer is breaking because I have so many windows open. But yeah, shootouts and that do. And then he's like reaching for the younger version of himself. That's very poetic. Oh, yeah, and there is one line reading in this trailer, so let's hear that. Don't be with that. There you go. So this was a trailer back when the movie was called Full Love. And we have another trailer here from the Full Love days. Now, I think in this one, we get a little more dialogue, maybe a little more idea of what's going on with the story. Now, I find this interesting. Man, will we get a better shot of it later? Yeah, this little boy, he has like an eagle. I think you can get a better shot of it in another trailer, but it's not it's like an eagle statue. It like has a base. So like what's happening with this little boy here? Somebody got shot. I think maybe he like witnessed a murder or an act of violence when he was young. Maybe his family got killed or something in front of him. He had to watch his parents die. But anyway, this woman, like, he's like, I think he's going to her to try to get some kind of information. He needs to maybe about the people who did this, horrible thing when he was a boy. And so by trying to get this information from her, I believe he puts her in danger. She gets kidnapped. And then, yeah, there she is getting kidnapped, and now he's very determinedly going after her, try to save her. Yeah. So it's basically about him getting a crew together to try to go save this woman. Okay, that's enough of that. But I'll put links for all of these in the description. Because I know you're going to want to watch them. And then we've got another trailer, and this is the most substantial one so far, and this is from 13 years ago. So this is, if I'm good at math, let's see. So this is from like 2012, so this would be after the Bulgarian reshoots, I do believe. Yeah, there you go. See, he's like holding like a bird statue or like a bird trophy. So that's interesting. Okay, and then we get more with him as the little boy. So he has a gun. So maybe it's like somebody's in there and they're like attacking his family or something, and then he gets the gun and he shoots them or something. Very dramatic eagle zoom in there. I want to see that. Yeah, look at that. And then you get that awesome cut right to Van Damme. He's the eagle, metaphorically. But yeah, so anyway, it's a lot of the same shots you've seen before, but it goes into a little more detail here that he wants some information from her. She tells him to get lost, but I guess just by his very presence, he puts her in danger with this gangster guy. And then he's a taxi driver, I believe. I read that on another site. He's like a taxi driver looking for vengeance-related information, I think, and he puts this woman in danger. Oh, here he is. He's fighting people. That's fun. They ruined his bike. That's just cruel.
Mr. Frenchie.
Yeah. Can you hear this? Can you? I'm gonna turn the sound up because some of these line readings, not great.
Tell me your story, Mr. Frenchie.
It's not great. And what you're gonna see throughout this is that maybe a lot of the acting in this movie isn't so great. Oh, this is a weird cut. I remember this. Go back.
Qu'est-ce que tu m'as foutu pour une merde? I don't speak French.
Like he hit him in the head with the gun, I think, but it's such a weird cut.
Qu'est-ce que tu m'as foutu pour une merde? I don't speak French.
What the fuck is
Yourself a
that?
fucking ticket and go home. Sir, Frenchie?
I need your help. I'm in trouble.
So
Weapons.
now he's recruiting his
Going to war
friends.
over a lady. Who's going to help you besides me?
Also not a great line reading. I can't tell if that character is supposed to be blind. Like he's kind of looking off into the distance. Like maybe he's blind. I don't know. I also like that we had the cliche where it's like, Van Damme is this quiet, unassuming guy, and then he something happens and he has to pick up the floorboards and find his weapons. That's one of my favorite cliches. I mean, that's like, John Wick had a great version of that. Also, the God of War reboot, the video game, where he finds his blades of chaos. Spoiler. But
We
yeah,
have a problem.
that's a good slide. That's been in a couple trailers. Yeah. Okay. Now this is interesting. I'm gonna slow the footage down here because you really need to appreciate this. I'm gonna turn the sound off because that sounds weird. But yeah. Did you see that? I'm so bad. It's like there's like a lag. There's a lag when I try to pause it. But yeah, as you can see in some of these shots, Jean-Claude Van Damme has a mustache. So what does that mean? I don't know. You could see it really clearly there. If there wasn't a lag, he had a serious mustache right there. Oh my! What the fuck? Okay, so as a little boy, it looks like he's like shooting his parents, or maybe this guy like takes him captive and he's shooting him and like getting free. I'm not totally sure what's going on. But yeah, so this one is a little more depth. You get a little bit more of an idea of what's going on. I'm still not sure what was going on when he was a little kid. Yeah, it's confusing. The Eagle Path. Okay. And then there's also this one, and this is the longest one so far. And this is just clips from the film. And despite having, over 4 minutes of footage from the movie, we still don't have a lot more information. So we have this flashback here where he's in the war, doing war stuff. It's not very interesting. And that takes up, probably about a third of this. And now we have more footage of this party scene that we've seen several times. Also, this footage is like really bad quality, which is a shame. What is this? Is this like 720? 480. Oh my god. Terrible. But yeah, more of this, more of her getting kidnapped. Maybe no. I think the lady in the cab and the lady who he's trying to get information from are different people. They both get kidnapped. I don't know. This interests me that they're like torturing him. Where there's like footage in the background of a horse wearing a hat, and the hat has little holes in it for its fucking horse ears. Like back it up. Like pay yeah. The horse, it has a hat. I don't know. Okay. Let's get the sound back on.
I'm a soldier! I'm a soldier!
So yeah, this is his wartime trauma.
Why does it matter?
Another
It
fantastic
matters
line
because my
reading.
brother pays you to bring us the girls that you promised, and that was after the shipment fell from 9 to 7 girls. What happened?
Should have cast Nick Nolte, man. That's all I can say. Where's that bit? There's a funny bit coming up that I love. Here we go.
Believe me. You don't believe so? I'm sick. Cry? What are you crying? Come on, shoot. I'm here. What are you crying for? I don't love people when they cry.
Like, what the fuck is that scene? That doesn't look very good. He does that little spin and then he just shoots that. What the fuck is going on? I don't know. I found this article from the Time from the Wrap called "What Was Jean-Claude Van Damme Thinking?" So that's a good sign. And basically in here they have a couple of interesting little tidbits. They talk about. Oh, here's a fun bit. A Gersh agency screening last month where Van Damme planted himself in front of the door, making it impossible for this audience member or any other to leave. So he stood in front of the door and he made this 20-minute speech talking about the things that were going on in his life, and kind of where he was in his career and his hopes and dreams and stuff like that. Now, this is the part that really intrigued me. Someone closely involved with the distribution of JCVD in the US was compelled to stay until the bitter end of the Eagle Path. The end is completely insane, and it's 2001 like a montage spanning birth, death, the end of the world, you name it. So that sounds absolutely fascinating. Like based on the footage we've seen of the film, how does that fit in? It intrigues me. And then at the end here, we get a little plot description. Van Damme works as a taxi driver, military veteran, former mercenary. He's hiding in East Asia, haunted by his past. All things you could basically have guessed. And calling the film "Bad Lieutenant Gone Idiotic." So that's a bummer. Van Damme don't want to hear that. And then one of the more in-depth articles I found about the movie, if it ever loads and my computer doesn't break, which is a big if, apparently. Yeah, here we go. So this is one of the most in-depth posts I found about it. Lots of good information in here from the City on Fire blog, I guess. But yeah, here they confirm that it was shot for $5 million, much of it financed by Van Damme himself, which I don't doubt. Filmed in Thailand. Audiences at the 2010 Cannes screening offered a mixed reaction. There were even some critics who compared the film's more out there sequences to 2001: A Space Odyssey or Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life. Van Damme was reportedly unhappy with his final cut. Rumors suggested he wouldn't release the movie in the West until he was able to do another edit. So then he did do another edit. And that didn't end up coming out either. It says the reshoots were inspired by Gareth Evans' The Raid, so that's interesting. Around this time, Van Damme took to Facebook to assure fans of the status of the film. The Eagle Path took longer than what I have expected, but that is because I did some recent reshooting with more action scenes. The movie is going to be retitled The Soldiers. So basically, I think the original version, it sounds like, was kind of more artsy, more Terrence Malick-y, Stanley Kubrick-y, and then he was just like, people don't want this from me. I got to go back and shoot some more footage of me kicking people in the face, which is, it's kind of a bummer. I want to see him push himself, Okay, so then in 2021, the Frenchie trailer came out, and this was the big discovery here, because I was like, oh, I'd never seen this trailer before, and that's because If you go to this trailer that they had at the bottom of this page, you will see that it is unlisted. So this is a secret trailer that I have discovered. This is a major breakthrough, I believe, and this is the most recent trailer for the film, as far as I can find. So we can see how things have developed since the beginning. Already very artsy, kind of Koyaanisqatsi kind of thing going on
Got
here.
a girl here. A beautiful lady.
Beautiful lady.
My friends, I called you here. She's going to die tonight.
This looks like a terrible team to
Tell me
rescue
why
this
this
woman.
guy comes into my club, picks you specifically, and goes up to your room.
Listen to me, they're dangerous.
I can get into trouble.
I can chase them down. You have to trust me, and if I let you right, if I let you right, if I let you right, you're mine.
Oh, the artsiness. It's so artsy. Look at this. It's black and parts with it black and white. It's taking place during like 4 different timelines.
That's okay.
I need the weapons. I want to go to war. Another woman for the first time in my life.
What? What game are you playing with me?
Don't be my bad accent.
That one line where he goes, "Drop your weapon," that has been in like every trailer. He must be like really proud of that line reading. But anyway, yeah, that's the latest glimpse we got to look at it. So it is apparently called Frenchie again. That is the current title, I do believe. Now, this is an article from Variety from around the time that the film was first screened. It says, following his butt-kicking self-confession in JCVD, Van Damme's back at it again. This time, both sides of the camera, as well as the editing suite, where he's tripping out a la Godard in Psycho Action or The Eagle's Path. So there are a couple comparisons between Van Damme and Godard in this article. So that's fascinating. Yeah, so it plays like a forgettable 80s thriller with a blood sports bar, saving a hooker from a horde of Thai thugs, but then things take a wild turn in the closing reels, which combine gory shootouts with Freudian-themed montages that feature Jean-Claude Van Damme trying to outrival Jean-Luc Godard. So, you want to see this, don't you? I mean, I want to see this. We all want to see this. Let's not kid ourselves. You're telling me you wouldn't watch a freaking Terrence Malick, Jean-Luc Godard movie about Van Damme kicking people in the face? We would all watch that, and we would all love it. And why haven't I been able to see it yet? It's so frustrating. They call the film here borderline unwatchable, even though the star puts his all into the role of Frenchie, a Vietnam vet overcome by memories of an abusive father. Apart from the Soviet-style editing, is that Soviet-style editing? Tech is shoot-'em-up standard. And one other thing I wanted to point out in this article is this line right here. The Eagle's Path feels as if Van Damme can't shake his roots in B-grade combat films and is doing his ultimate fighting best to remake them as a European auteur. So that's the weird vibe I get from all the trailers I've seen. That Van Damme, he's like divided between what he thinks his fans want and what the public wants from him, and these kind of artsier inclinations he has, this desire to be taken seriously as an artist. So it seems like this very strange marriage of the two, where he's like, I want to be all cool and weird and Godardy, but I also want to kick a lot of people in the face because that's what they want to see, allegedly. you know so I think that kind of back and forth, that contradiction, and even reading about how after the Cannes premiere he got all discouraged and went and did a bunch of action-centric reshoots, that all kind of ties back into that idea that he's kind of artistically like at war with himself and at war with his reputation. Now, this is one of the few reviews from the time that I've been able to locate. This is from blueprintreview.co.uk. And yeah, they did not enjoy the film. Um, let's see. In fact, there were a large number of people who walked out of the film, including a couple of previously excited French teenagers who had sat next to us. One of them muttered, "This is shit," to me as they got up from their seats before beating a hasty retreat to the exit. Um, okay, but this person says it is shot well, which is nice. You know, cinematographer from Full Metal Jacket, so there you go. Um, But basically, what they're saying here is, as his personal intro at the screening demonstrated, this is a seriously distracted man who I feel was having a midlife crisis in public, which is a real shame for fans like me. It's obvious that he's better served by letting someone else direct and edit his films. Of particular horror to me was the editing, which is shockingly bad at times and doesn't do the confused story any favors whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, this kind of corroborates a lot of what people were saying, in other reviews and videos and retrospectives, that basically Van Damme is throwing himself into it. He's giving it everything he has from an acting perspective, but the movie is just a mess. Editing wise, it's like these competing tones, and like I said, these kind of competing artistic ambitions, and that it just doesn't come together. Um, Now, we also have this review from Screen Anarchy, which is much more positive, but I think this is a person who knows Van Damme a little bit, maybe. I had the great pleasure of watching the first cut of the movie recently with Jean-Claude in Hong Kong, literally a day or so after he completed editing. So this was like one of the first people Van Damme showed this movie to. And, and he said he liked it. He says the Eagle Path title is very relevant when you see the movie, which is interesting. I want to know what that means. I want to know why it's not the Eagle's Path. Like, why isn't it possessive? What's an Eagle Path? I don't know. Um, so I would be curious there. This guy says the direction is very assured, great camera work and performances. But yeah, like I said, this appears to be a person who has like some kind of personal connection to Van Damme. It's just me searching for things. I was able to find this. I don't know what the fuck this is. This is like a DVD Planet Store. Maybe this is like a bootleg of the movie, but then if you scroll down, it says that the movie is in post production. So I don't know how it can be in post production and I can buy a DVD of it, but I'm not giving these people my credit card information to find out. But yeah, once again, we get another plot description here. Military veteran, former mercenary, Frenchie works as a taxi driver hiding in Bangkok, picks up a beautiful female passenger who will change his life forever. He embarks on a journey to save her. He has the fight of his life. It's all pretty standard. All information we already knew. But it's nice to have it corroborated that it was $5 million, that it was shot in Thailand. We're going to take what we can get as far as information is concerned. So now from here, not much is known. But one thing we do know is that Van Damme is continuing to tinker with the film. He has not given up on this film. So this is from a Van Damme fan forum, and they talk on here. Back in 2005, recently on Facebook, Van Damme said he was showing off 2 cuts of Frenchie at the Cannes Film Festival this May, and the distributors will choose which cut is released in which territory. As I previously said, um, I think that's a terrible idea. But, he's still trying. He's still trying to get it out there. And this is interesting. Recently, the soundtrack to the film has been released. This is confirmed to be original music created for the film. It's the same composer as the guy who did a previous Van Damme film, We Die Young. And, we'll listen to a couple seconds of it here. Sounds like a film score. Let's listen to This Place is Dangerous. Oh my god. Find Sophia. Okay, we can listen to Find Sophia. I want to hear This Place is Dangerous. Fuck you. Okay, This Place is Dangerous is broken. What about What the Fuck Is This? That's a good name for a song. Does it work? Do you work? Let's open Spotify. Let's see if that helps. I should have figured this out before I started, but I know this is the kind of high quality entertainment you come to this um, channel for. You know. All right. Can I play you? Will you play? Here we go. So this place is dangerous. Here we go. Kind of a nice little ambient kind of drone. So here, what the fuck is this? Okay, sounds very similar to This Place is Dangerous. It's kind of a drone, creepy drone. Let's see, Bringing the Dog Back. These are all such good titles. Okay, so this one is a slightly more high-pitched drone. Ooh, let's listen to You Full of Shit. Is it going to be a drone? Oh, no, this one has a little more going on. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that, Van Damme, he still believes in this movie. He's still working on it. He's still re-editing it. He's doing ADR. He's getting a composer. He believes that someday this movie is going to come out. And he still has faith in it. Despite the fact that, when this movie comes out, it's going to be 13 years old. Is it going to feel out of time? Is it going to feel dated? He has faith. And as you can see, as recently as a couple years ago, this is from Jean-Claude Van Damme's official Facebook page. Eagle Path will be available for worldwide release after Berlin International Film Festival. For business inquiries, contact eaglepath2023@gmail.com. And I just find this really touching that he refuses to give up on this movie that nobody else likes, nobody else wants to distribute, but he believes in it. It's his baby, and he's still committed. I don't know if this EaglePath2023 email address still works. It might be EaglePath2025 now, but if you're watching this and you're a major movie distributor, I want to see the Eagle Path. I'll buy a ticket to it. And I know a lot of other people will too. So put out the fucking Eagle Path. Coward.